Boom! The blast flung Captain Rex Holt into a wall of shattered steel, his ears ringing, his visor cracked, HUD flickering with static. Fire chewed through Firebase Omega-3, screams bled through open comms. Alpha Gate breached, repeat breach. Echo, team is gone. God, they're inside the walls. Holt shoved a corpse off his chest and staggered to his feet. Blood smeared his faceplate, somebody else's. Plasma sizzled in the air. The eastern guard tower exploded. The Thazul had arrived. A private scrambled up beside him, eyes wild. "Sir, evac in 10. We have to get to the pad." Holt shook his head. "That bird isn't coming." "What?" He yanked the young soldier behind cover as something heavy slammed down nearby. A creature. 8 limbs, silver hide, and a jaw that split in 4, ripped apart a defensive cannon. "That transmission was for morale," Holt growled. "Command knows the truth. We're not evac, we're bait." A long pause. "We're gonna die here?" "Yeah." He said it like he was commenting on the weather. Calm, absolute. The firebase was a black smudge on the edge of the Aegis expanse, a throwaway outpost guarding a colony that had already fallen. Command knew it. Holt knew it. The civvies had too. Days head start on a fleeing fleet. Omega-3's job was to buy them 1 more hour, and that hour was up. Holt sprinted through wreckage and fire, rallying what remained of Delta Squad. A few Marines, 1 med drone, a twitching comms relay blinking red. They made for the tower on the ridge, last high ground with a working transmitter. "Eyes left!" Holt shouted. A Thazul leapt from the smoke. Holt dropped it mid-air with 3 perfect rounds. To its eyes. "Keep moving." Private Mendez fell. No time to stop. 2 more went down before they reached the tower. 5 left. Holt kicked open the hatch and started uploading a loop transmission. "Firebase Omega-3, contact lost. Thazul adapting. Do not extract. We were never evac. We were bait." "Cap," said Sergeant Yao, bleeding from her shoulder. "What's the plan?" "Delay, distract, bleed them." A beat. Then she laughed. "You always were full of romance." Outside, the last of the firebase crumbled. Holt stepped out into the open, and it came. The warlord, 7 feet tall, bone-slick armor pulsing with bioluminescence. 2 arms, but each joint twisted wrong. A face like a shattered mask stitched into a snarl. It stood perfectly still, head tilted like it was listening to something no one else could hear. Every Thazul froze around it. Then it moved, and the world exploded again. Holt fought like a man already dead. He was fast, brutal, efficient. Every shot was placed, every grenade counted, but it wasn't enough. Yao died saving a private. Then the private died, and then it was just Holt. He limped back to the ridge, mag pistol in hand, blood soaking through the cracks in his armor. The tower burned. His squad was gone, and the warlord stood before him. No weapons, no rush. It looked at him, studied him. There was something in its gaze, recognition, not respect, not pity, dismissal. It turned and walked away. Holt didn't move, couldn't. His hand trembled, trigger finger twitching. Shoot it, he thought. Now, end it, die fighting. But he didn't, and the warlord vanished into the fog. He fell to his knees, coughing blood. Alone. No, not alone. Forgotten. He stared at the spot where it had. Stood hollow rage simmering in his chest. Then he laughed. Low, broken, furious. "You looked at me," he whispered, "and decided I didn't matter." His laughter turned into a cough. Then a growl. "You're gonna regret that." Why did the warlord let him live? And what exactly is Rex Holt going to do now that he has nothing left to lose? Rex Holt didn't die on that ridge. He burned. For hours, he moved through the ash and ruin of Firebase Omega-3 like a phantom, stripping gear off bodies, disarming trip mines, siphoning power cells, wrapping his side in synth flesh, and stitching it himself with trembling hands. Every breath hurt. He welcomed the pain. Pain meant he was still here, and the warlord, it thought he wasn't worth finishing. Wrong call. 3 nights later, a Tharzul patrol entered the firebase ruins and never left. Holt had rigged their own scent lures with human pheromones, tied them to charges, and set them off when the creatures clustered to feed. They died in a blossom of fire and bone. He didn't stop there. He booby-trapped corpses, sniped lone scouts, burned their nests with scavenged promethium. In the mist-soaked jungle, rumors began to ripple through the Tharzul hive mind. They couldn't speak, not as humans did, but they remembered. Images, instinct, fear. A shape, armor cracked, face. Bloody, a name transmitted through scavenged comms, Holt. Humans started whispering it too. Some said he was dead. Some said he was still fighting. Both were true. Deep in the jungle, Holt crouched in silence beside a cliff wall, eyes locked on movement ahead. Through his stolen optics, he saw it. A Tharzul outpost, organic tech fused into a rocky basin. They'd built a forward node there, biotowers, guard tendrils, nest pits and prisoners, human ones. He saw them through thermal, 20 or so, unarmed, huddled, alive. Why Tharzul never took prisoners. They consumed, converted, adapted. Holt watched as one of the creatures approached a bound woman, tapped a talon to her temple, and she screamed. Her eyes rolled back, her neural activity spiked. Holt could see it in his HUD. They were scanning her, learning her, and not just learning, copying. He slid back into cover, stomach turning. The Tharzul weren't just hunting now, they were evolving, studying human neural patterns, figuring out what made them unpredictable. They wanted to know how humans think. That couldn't happen. Later that night, Holt infiltrated the compound under the cover of a monsoon storm. Silent, precise. One by one he dropped guards, crushed windpipes, sliced tendons, stole keys. Inside the nerve center he found her, Dr. Vera Senya, xenobiologist, missing 6 months, covered in bruises and needle scars, but alive. Her eyes widened when she saw him. "You're human?" "Last. I checked." She looked around. "You alone?" "Always." Vera exhaled a shaky breath. "Then we're already dead." Holt cut her restraints. "Not yet." They made it out just ahead of the hive's response, but not without cost. Alarms flared. He took a spike to the shoulder. She hacked a security node and overloaded the main. A biofusion cell. The nest burned behind them as they vanished into the mist. They camped in the ruins of a wrecked crawler. Vera was quiet for a long time, then said, "They weren't just storing memories. They were integrating problem-solving structures, creativity, strategy from us." Holt said nothing. "If they finish that process, they'll become us. But better, stronger. They'll stop making mistakes, stop being predictable. Then, we kill the hive," she blinked. "You don't kill a hive. You jam it, overload it, hit the neural core with enough entropy to collapse it. Can we do that?" "Yes. I designed a fail-safe virus before I was captured, but it requires close-range insertion, right into the core warlord's bio-brain." A long silence. "That's suicide," she said. Holt looked out into the trees. "Good. Can Holt and Vera reach the warlord's core? And what else has the hive already learned from the minds they've taken?" The cave walls were wet, not from water, but from something thicker, biological, pulsing with faint blue light, like the inside of a living creature. Holt followed Vera deeper into the Tharzul substructure. An ancient cavern the creatures had turned into a data splicing chamber. What once held alien ruins now housed neural threads, brain matter coiled like cables, and twitching organic nodes that pulsed with memory. "Welcome to the hive's brainstem," Vera whispered. Holt didn't answer. He was staring at the walls. They weren't just storing human thoughts, they were digesting them. Images flickered in the slime, a soldier's final scream, a mother's lullaby, tactical diagrams, childhood memories. They looped and melted, forming patterns. Every mind they consume, they convert into adaptive algorithms, Vera said. But they've only assimilated raw memory. They're still missing something vital. What? She turned to him. Intuition, instinct, creativity. They don't understand why humans break rules, improvise, or sacrifice. Holt snorted. Guess we're lucky they're not bastards yet. They will be, soon. She led him to the center of the chamber, an elevated pulse node surrounded by shielding pods. Inside it, a vat of clear fluid, and suspended within it, something like a brain wrapped in scaffolding. That's the proto-core, she said. A training module for the next generation of warlords. This one's not active yet. It's listening, learning. Can we destroy it? She shook her head. We need to use it. Vera unspooled a thin cable from her satchel and attached it to the node. If I upload the entropy virus through this node and it reaches the main warlord's hive synapse, it will overwrite their learning algorithms, trigger cognitive collapse. Every Tharzul connected to this strain will become inert or feral. Great, Holt said. Let's do it. She hesitated. There's a catch, isn't there? The virus is quantum keyed. The final sequence has to be triggered manually, within 6 feet of the primary hive mind. Any further out, it fails. Holt looked at her, then at the cable. And by primary, you mean the warlord that walked away from you? Of course, it recognizes you, she added. That's why it spared you. It's studying you, modeling itself after you. That landed like a punch to the gut. The perfect predator was learning how to be him. So, what do we do? He asked. I prep the virus. You get close. 6 feet. Plug this in. She handed him a spike, barely longer than a finger. Once it connects, you've got 5 seconds before it melts everything around it, including you. Holt turned the spike in his hand. Lightweight. Lethal. He looked at her. You ever die for something? Vera didn't blink. I was ready to. Every day they kept me alive. He nodded. Then we're in agreement. That night, they camped in silence. The jungle buzzed with sound, none of it human. Holt sat on a ridge overlooking the distant glow of the Tharzul meganest. He turned the spike over in his hands again. Vera joined him. You don't have to be a martyr, she said. I'm not, she waited. I'm just the only one here that's already dead, he added. You think this makes up for it? Omega-1, your discharge? Holt turned to her sharply, her voice softened. They didn't erase your record before they erased mine. He looked away. Then you know I deserve this. No, I know you want it. That's not the same. He didn't. And so, they approached the hive the next day, deep within the heart of a canyon, where the planet's crust had split wide and the Tharzul had built an altar of growth and flesh. Hive spires rose like teeth, wrapped in pulsing organs and echoing with predator calls. Holt and Vera split up, her to a safe distance to monitor signal integrity, him to the death zone. He moved like a ghost, bloodied armor camouflaged with dust and bile. Near the core, he found it, the warlord. It stood atop the hive's central spire, staring into the clouds, its neural tendrils flickering like tongues. Holt's HUD flared red. He was within range. He gripped the spike, one step closer, and froze. From the shadows, Vera's voice screamed through his comm. Abort, abort! They've already learned the virus protocol. They built a mimic. That's not the real warlord. It's bait, if that's not the real warlord. Where is it, and how deep is the trap they've just walked into? Abort, abort! They've already learned the virus protocol. They built a mimic. That's not the real warlord. It's bait. Vera's voice snapped across Holt's comm like a whip. He didn't hesitate. Dropped to one knee, rolled left. Just as the mimic exploded, a wave of concussive force lifted him off the ridge and slammed him into the ground. Shrapnel tore through his armor. HUD flickered. Warning runes blinked across his vision. Secondary infection protocol detected. Hive sync initiated. No, Holt ripped off his helmet, gasping for air. He'd been caught in the sink field. The mimic had been designed to initiate a neural tether. The hive wasn't just trying to kill him anymore, it was trying to download him. He stumbled down into the jungle, bleeding, fever-hot. His thoughts fragmented, memories flashing like weapon fire. Omega-1, the civilians, the screams, court-martial, shame, guilt, blood, so much blood. He fell. Darkness followed. He woke to firelight and the low hum of static. Vera sat nearby, eyes hollow. She dragged him to shelter, patched what she could. The spike was still intact. Her hands were shaking. "You almost gave them what they wanted," she said quietly. Holt sat up slowly. "They want me?" She nodded. "You're the pattern they can't solve, the variable, the chaos." He laughed bitterly. "Because I'm broken." "No," she said, eyes sharp. "Because you think you are. They can't mimic that. Self-destruction doesn't compute in their world. Sacrifice? Defiance without gain? They don't get it." He stared at her. That was it. That was the missing piece. They didn't fear strength or pain. They feared meaningless resistance, acts that didn't fit logic. Then we give them something they really can't understand. They spent the next day planning the impossible. Vira located the true hive mind core, a mobile neurotemple buried under the canyon. It moved every 12 hours, tethered to the warlord's physical presence. Only one way in, straight through the warlord's guard complex. Suicide, so they wouldn't go in alone. Holt pulled out his last beacon. Short-range burst transmission. Risky. He activated it. An hour later, a voice crackled through the dust. "Omega-3, is that you, Ghost?" He smiled. "Nice of you to pick up. Got a favor." That night, Holt met with Captain Jari, a rebel fleet commander who had defected after her family was wiped in the first wave. She had 3 stealth dropships, a grudge, and 0 regard for protocol. "This plan is insane," she said. "Correct. You're going to walk into the warlord's sanctum, get 6 feet from its core, and inject a virus it might already be immune to?" "Correct again. And you'll do it because it insulted you," Holt's voice dropped, "because it thinks we're finished, and because it tried to wear my face." She laughed once, then nodded. "All right, Ghost, let's go haunt some bastards." As the ships prepped for silent insertion, Vera approached Holt with a small cylinder. "New spike," she said. "Modified payload. Carries a secondary surprise." "What kind?" "A mirror." Holt raised an eyebrow. "It'll reflect its own neural signature back at it," she explained. "Force the warlord to experience itself, all of it. The slaughter, the consumption, the failure to understand us. That'll hurt." She smiled grimly. "They weren't designed for empathy." He took the spike. "Let's see how it likes becoming human." The insertion was flawless. 3 dropships, 2 decoys. 1 real target. Holt hit the ground running, alone, deep inside the moving temple, carving through organ walls and biosecurity drones. Vera's voice in his ear. Njari's rebels, creating chaos above. He reached the inner sanctum in under 7 minutes, and there it was, the warlord, larger now, taller, smarter. It turned to him with something close to amusement and spoke. "You are not special." Holt smiled. "Neither are you." He lunged. Can Holt land the spike before the hive mind consumes his consciousness? And what happens if the warlord actually feels everything it's done? The warlord struck first, a blur of bone and muscle. It crossed the chamber in less than a second, tail whipping, claws flashing. Holt rolled under the strike, came up firing point blank, armor-piercing rounds shattered against its skull. The creature didn't flinch. "You are predictable," it growled, its voice no longer static. It sounded human now. Holt ducked, dropped a flashbang, and dove behind a neural pillar. "I learned from your kind," the warlord continued, stalking through the smoke. "Pain, rage, purpose." Holt's hand closed around the spike in his belt. "You learned imitation," he said through gritted teeth. Not meaning. He slid across the floor, came up under the warlord's guard, and stabbed deep into its thigh. The creature howled, more in surprise than pain, and backhanded Holt into the wall. The spike clattered across the floor. No, he lunged. Too late. The warlord stepped on it. Your clever virus. We've seen it. We modeled it. Corrupted it. Holt spat blood. Did you corrupt this too? He drew a blade from his wrist rig and plunged it into the warlord's exposed neural port, the one he'd seen flare during the last hive sync. The creature staggered. Download this, Holt snarled. His helmet flashed red entropy. Spike, manual trigger required. 5 seconds. The warlord twisted. You'll kill yourself. I know. Holt grabbed the spike, triggered it. Time fractured. He fell into a black sea of screaming memory, not his own. The warlord's mind, raw, endless, alien, a storm of hunger, a catalogue of death, worlds burned, civilizations devoured. Every kill remembered, every scream archived, but something was wrong. It couldn't stop seeing faces, victims, children, the look in their eyes before the end. The virus wasn't killing it, it was forcing it to empathize. No, the warlord whispered. Make it stop, Holt's voice echoed in the void. Welcome to being human. Outside the neural trance, Holt collapsed. The warlord dropped beside him, spasming, clutching its head as memories tore it apart. Above, the hive screamed, creatures shrieked, towers exploded, neural threads caught fire. The temple began to collapse. As the virus spread through the synaptic web, Holt rolled over, dragging himself toward the exit, but his body was failing. Too much blood loss, too many wounds. He was done. Vira's voice came through the comm, ragged, breaking. Holt! Do you copy? Holt, get out! He smiled, then footsteps. She appeared at the tunnel's edge, smoke behind her, face pale but determined. I said get out, she snapped. He coughed. Told you, already dead, she shook her head. Not yet. She slung his arm over her shoulder. They ran outside, the world burned. Hive creatures thrashed in madness. Some convulsed, some turned on each other. Jari's rebel strike ships strafed the jungle, torching every node as Vera and Holt escaped into the smoke. Behind them, the temple exploded in a roar of psychic fire. The warlord, burning, melting, feeling, emerged from the inferno. It looked at Holt one last time and bowed, then collapsed. The hive is broken, but what new threat might rise from the wreckage of a predator that learned how to feel? This is the final chapter. Comment, we endure if you've made it this far, because that's what this story's always been about. Let's finish it together. The warlord was dead, and for the first time in months, the jungle was quiet. No screams, no fire, no shadows whispering at the edge of vision, just wind, ash, and the slow, impossible return of peace. Holt sat beneath a broken sky, ribs wrapped in stolen medfoam, watching smoke rise from the ruins of the hive. His armor was cracked open like a shell. Blood soaked the earth beneath him. He should have died, he wanted to, but here he was. Still breathing. Damn it, he muttered. Still here. Vera sat nearby, her eyes on the horizon. You sound disappointed. Not disappointed, just surprised. He looked at her. We actually did it, she nodded. For now. They'd uploaded the mirror spike, broken the warlord's mind, collapsed the hive, but it wasn't total annihilation. Some Thazul had gone feral. Others, disconnected, simply vanished into the trees. The war wasn't over, but the tide had turned. The first victory in a long, bloody line. Later, Holt stood before a crowd, not on a stage, not in a uniform, just on a hilltop, surrounded by survivors. Fleet. Brass had arrived within a week, responding to the beacon Holt had rigged into the viral signal. Najari's rebels came down too, armed, wary, but no longer hunted. Together, they saw the aftermath. Vera uploaded her data. The virus was refined, tested, distributed. Holt was asked what he wanted: a promotion, a pardon, a medal. He asked for a graveyard, and he got it. A week later, at the edge of Firebase Omega-3's ruins, a stone marker was carved into the earth. Here stood the line: no names, no ranks, just a symbol, a single line carved in fireglass. On either side, rows of markers: fallen, Marines, engineers, scientists, rebels, even Tharzul husks buried out of sight. It wasn't about what they were, it was what they'd endured. Vira found Holt there one morning, standing alone. "You're leaving," she said. He nodded. "There are more nests, more copies of the Warlord's Code. You said yourself, they learn fast. Some might have adapted before the spike hit. You're going back into the fire. That's what I'm good at." She reached into her pack and handed him something small, a badge, his old unit crest, restored, cleaned, reforged. "You earned this back," she said. He took it, looked at it for a long moment, then dropped it into the fire. She didn't flinch. "Good," she said. "You're still you." They parted at dawn, she to the labs, he to the war. No promises, no speeches, just a nod. "And this, we endure," she said. Holt nodded once and disappeared into the mist. The war continues, but now the enemy knows fear, it knows empathy, and it knows that even the smallest human with nothing left to lose can still burn down gods. That's the end of Deathwish, humanity's last gambit, but it's only the beginning of this universe. Comment: we endure if you stayed with Holt until the end, like if his fight meant something to you. And subscribe, because the next battle's already stirring. Until next time, we endure.